Hi guys, beautiful autumn day. Me and Buster come for a one night camp out and I bought a new piece of kit with me. So I've got my hands on a diesel heater made by LF Brothers. It's the N2 Pro. So it's a 5 kilowatt heater, so that should be ample for heating my tent, just to get that lovely warmth in there during the winter. But obviously today it's not that cold, but it's damp, so try and leave it running for a while and dry everything out. So it's a great unit, runs on 12 volt and solidly made. So I'm going to rig it up where my flue comes out for my wood burner, so it'll be a brilliant secondary heat source or a main heat source for that Arctic tent. So this is the unit I'm going to set up. Like I said, it's made by LF Brothers, if you're interested. It's so well made and so compact, and awesome solid carry handles, and they call it the Darth Vader because it's got this lovely polish finish. So you've got your air intake and then your heat outlet. I've run it at home and tested it, and brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The heat that this kicks out, it's unbelievable, and so fuel efficient. You know, sometimes you might not feel like sparking the wood burner up, you might want some instant heat. You just plug it up, easy to install, plug it up to your power generator or a battery, press the remote, set your temperature, and away you go. You've got instant heat pretty much. So when you get the unit boxed, it comes with this great carry bag. So I've got all the attachments in here, all the 12 volt adapter, which is really handy because I have had a diesel heater before at home, you know, a cheaper version, and you have to buy the 240 to 12 volt adapter, but with this unit you get that with it. So I just dug it out the bag. So like I said, this comes with it. It's your 240 to 12 volt, so that'll plug into my power generator, and then on the other end is your positive and negative, which go on to the positive and negative of the terminals. And also in the kit you get your remote control. The range is about 100 feet, so you know, you can be approaching your tent or whatever and switch it on, and it's all fired up, booted up and kicking out heat while you get to your tent. And there's your control panel on and off. And another great feature with this is it's got temperature control, so you can set the temperature that you want inside your tent and it will cycle in and out to keep that optimum temperature. It's got some great plug-in ports, you know, real robust screw thread. So they sit, it's all labelled up. So you've got your power supply, so you'd run that one if you're running it off a 12 volt battery. I'm running mine straight from the power generator, straight from mains. And then your controller port, so that sits in there like that. You screw it down and then you can place that anywhere within your tent. And this is the other power lead. So it has two ways of putting power into it. Like I said, 240 volt into the adapter, which converts it down to 12 volt, or you can use the other port here, which says power supply, and put that onto your 12 volt battery. So it's a great system, you know, the way they've designed it. And then you get your hoses, flexi hose. I'm hoping this is going to be long enough so it connects to the outlet and then goes into my port on my Arctic tent where my wood burner stove comes out. So maybe I'll have to raise it up on a log or something and put it in, and then you have your air intake hose. I'll probably leave mine like this. And then the exhaust sits on the front like so. Just screw that in with a Jubilee clip, and you get an extension as well if you want to lengthen the exhaust, keep the fumes away from your tent. The thing that's great about this compared to the other diesel heater I had, the exhaust didn't have no baffles, so this runs really quiet with these baffles in the exhaust, so it's quite a silent run. And the thing also I like is you don't get the clicking noise that you do on the other cheaper heaters, the pump, where it keeps, where it's pumping diesel fuel all the time, so you hear that ticking. You don't hear that noise with this unit, but it's lovely. The only thing is you've got to keep polishing it because the old fingerprints and the diesel spill on it, but it does look great. And it's, like I said, it's so portable. You can put it anywhere, you know, in your car, in your garage, your shed, whatever. It's so practical, especially, you know, winter's coming and it's just that great additional extra bit of heat. Perfect. But it's so cheap to run, you know. On low I think you'll probably get around 15, 20 hours on low. That's what I'm getting roughly at home, because I've got one set up within my conservatory, LF Brothers, different model, but awesome. So it heats all my conservatory up lovely. And then also I'll show you this setup in my new vehicle. Another thing I like about these heaters is it's quite a dry heat. It's not a moist heat like gas. It's similar to the wood burner, a nice warm dry heat, no moisture. And this model, the N2 Pro, has an altimeter compensator. So, you know, I'm not big into that at the moment, but I've read the spec on it. But the higher altitude you go, obviously the burn rate is going to be different because of the oxygen content. So this diesel heater compensates for fuel and oxygen. So, you know, you get a real clean burn, real clean mix between air and fuel. So that's a great feature if you're camping at high altitude, where a lot of diesel heaters will struggle. And also, when I was filling it up, I couldn't believe how good this fuel cap is. It's my other heater. Used to fill it up and it used to leak in transit. See, it just locks down. It's like a conventional cap that you get on your car. So that's a great feature. So no spillage, no smell of diesel in your car. So they've thought about everything. Like I said, really robust carry handles, so it's so portable. And another great feature, you don't have to bring a mirror when you're camping. If you like a shave, you just look into that, you can see yourself. So I'm thinking, because my hose is quite short, I might have to get a longer hose, a couple of logs, and then running the hose into my port. So I think that'll work quite nicely. And another great feature is the air intake and the heat outlet all swivel, so you can position them anywhere you want them. I'll set the power supply up. And then I'll run this under the tent into my Blue Yeti, I think. So that's the power to the unit sorted. Then I've just got to set up the remote and then we're in business. That's pretty simple to do, and it's well worth that little bit of effort. You know, if you haven't got a wood burner in your tent and you're looking for another way to heat it, it's awesome. But I do love the wood burner, but you know, with the diesel heater, the convenience is brilliant, as long as you've got a power source. Like I said, 12 volt battery as well. Maybe you could rig that up to solar, so that's constantly putting power in the day, and then obviously when the cold evenings come, just spark it up. The initial start up burns quite a few watts, but then once it's running, quite energy efficient. But it's going to be brilliant in the winter. But there's no excuses this year to be cold. You know, get your hands on a diesel heater. They do lots of models. That's like the top end model, the N2 Pro. But at home, later in the video I'll show you, I have the N2 set up, and that's you know, half the price of the Pro, and it's awesome, absolutely awesome in my conservatory. So there's the control panel. You could mount that somewhere, you know, if you wanted it as a permanent fixture. So power up the Bluetooth. So as you can see, it's going through its process, fault checking, and then going into the burn sequence. So the initial start-up's a bit noisy, then once it settles down, it's quite quiet. And I do like the noise of the blown air heating inside. But I love all these pieces of kit that you can get your hands on, make your life, you know, comfortable. You can take your kids with you and your wife. No one's going to be cold in the winter, or dry your clothes if you've been out for a hike or something in wet conditions. Perfect. And now Buster's getting a bit older. You know, he's 13 now in November, and he does like a bit of warmth. You know, I don't want to come winter camping and knowing that he's freezing cold, or, you know, we've been out for a stroll and he wants to dry off. This is going to be perfect. But I love that noise. Completely different noise to a wood burner crackling, but I love a drop of heat when it's cold, or if you're damp. Like the English environment is so damp, gets in your clothes and in your bones, and you walk into something, you know, like a tent with a diesel heater on. Awesome. I can be away from my tent for 100 feet and I can operate the unit. So convenience is everything, you know, outdoors with something like this. So I've just shown you the burn rate. I should have showed it when it was booting up. I think it's around 130 watts, but now it's settled down. It's not recording anything, but I think it's around 30 to 40 watts. Well chuffed with the unit. So easy to install, easy to set up, and bang, we're into heat. And now it's set up, you know, I can sit back and just operate everything from this remote fob. Do you reckon then, boy? Like a bit of heat? Cosy, isn't it? The only downside with that heater, you don't want to go outside. This is the N2 Pro set up on my vehicle. If you've been watching me for a while, you know I had a Land Rover Defender. I had a diesel heater in my Defender, and I thought, how can I incorporate a diesel heater into this vehicle? So there's no cutting out or nothing. I've just installed it on the outside, exhaust port and everything's external. The heat intake's going inside the vehicle. So it's a great setup because it's so portable and so compact. It sits there lovely. So I've made a cutout for the window. So just roughly cut that out, so then I can position all my cables going through inside the vehicle. So you've seen it heating the Arctic tent, so this is phenomenal in this vehicle. It's so warm, you just turn it on within 10 minutes, you know, you're really toasty. And in these conditions when it's damp and your clothes are a bit damp, hanging them up inside your vehicle is brilliant. And you know how cold a a car gets in the winter, it's phenomenally, it's like an ice box. So this is brilliant, and it doesn't take long to set up. A couple of straps and a couple of carabiners, and because of the strong handles on this unit, you know, you're unable to hang it. So the heater hose running into the vehicle, and the air intake. I'm facing it down because it's wet conditions, so it's perfect with these swivels, as you see when I set it up on the Arctic. The cables are running through a little slot that I cut in the board, and I've got the vent that's supplied with the unit on the inside, so you can turn that and position the hot air wherever you want it. So let's fire it up. So the initial setup and burn to heat the glow plugs up is around 123 watts, and then obviously once it's running, it will drop down to about 30-40 watts. So it's 11 degrees before I put the diesel heater on. It's been on about 5 minutes and the display's reading 15, so no doubt in about half an hour it's going to be toasty warm. So on the remote fob you've got plus and minus. At the moment I've got the diesel heater on 2.7 kilowatts, so by pressing plus button I can increase the power of the unit, and it goes up to 5 kilowatts, so that's really going to throw out some heat. So in 5 minutes of having the heater on at full tilt, it went from 21 degrees to 28 degrees inside the vehicle. So this is my home premises, and I have this N2 set up in my conservatory. So I've made a cover for it just to keep the elements off the diesel heater. So this is the N2 rigged up. I've cored the wall out so the heat outlet's going inside the conservatory. I've linked the exhaust to the wall, just screwed a bracket down there, so it's really compact and it is perfect for this conservatory. So this conservatory is 14 by 10 and it warms up beautifully. And then when it gets really warm, I open the double doors and the heat goes through into the rest of the bungalow. So same system again, remote control, just fire it up in the mornings. The only modification I've done with this system is extended the controller lead. It wasn't long enough to go through the wall. These vents come with the unit, so put the tube through the wall and then put the vent on the other side, and that's pretty much all you need to do. So at the moment in here it's 14.5 degrees centigrade and the humidity is at 78%. So I've just fired it up. I'm going to let it run and you watch the humidity drop down and the temperature go up. So on the controller on the N2 you have a fuel gauge, LCD fuel gauge, which is really good. Fill it up and press the right hand side button and it gives you a full reading, and then as you burn in it drops down a notch. So in here at the moment I'm leaving it on around 2.7 kilowatts. It's not really cold at the moment, but as the temperatures drop I'll be ramping that up to around 4.5 kilowatts. So it's so easy to control. Press of a button and away you go. So I'll leave it at 3 kilowatts and then we'll watch that temperature and you'll see how efficient it is in here. So it's lovely in the morning, you get up, press the remote, not firing up any central heating or anything else, just relying totally on that really, pretty much. So it's great sitting here. This is my spot. This is the brochure that you get when you order the diesel heater, and it shows you all the different models and how to set them up. So a great selection of models that they do, all different features on them. And that's the N2, which I have set up in the conservatory. So it's been about 20 minutes, 20 degrees, humidity's come down, so it's perfect. Can't recommend it enough for your house. So no excuses to be cold. Now I'm going to enjoy the comfort of this diesel heater in the morning, and then I'm going to crack on. Cheers guys, don't forget, check out LR Brothers for the diesel heaters, and get yourself one for your tent or your car, or even inside your house. Don't forget, outside wall, any room, perfect. Cheers guys.